Hey everybody, MVP here, hope you're well. You're looking at my FXCorrelator.com website, home website, where I've got a lot of information there. Just wanted to remind you of that, and if you get a chance, just dropping down from the CV page there, you see a subscription there. If you subscribe, I'll promise not to bother you too much, send you the odd update newsletter just to see where we are, what we're doing, and an update on potential training in 2017. So just a little reminder there. Without further ado, let's have a quick look at what happened this previous week. This morning we're looking here, this afternoon now, 31st of July, so it's the last week in July, how we did, and also I'll have a quick look through July as well as a month. So without further ado, let's go to the charts. Okay, you're looking at last week. The white dotted lines there indicate each line, each day of the week. So we got 5 days there, starting off on Monday on this side. Where you'll see the red dotted line, that indicates roughly the start of the London session around 6 a.m. British summertime. And the blue dotted line there, to me, delineates again, indicates when we start early US session around, I don't know, about 1 o'clock. This is GMT +1, this chart, so don't worry too much about what you see at the bottom there in terms of the timings. We're talking about a 1 o'clock British BST here and 6 o'clock British BST. So let's have a quick look how we did. You got the usual 8 currencies there. Look at the colours at the top there. I always use these standard colours. And also we'll get an idea of the pip movement on each of the individual currencies through the week. Again, sorry, this isn't offered for free. This particular indicator does a lot more than just reset baselines. So let's talk about this. Okay, just moving this around. This is red dotted line here is London morning session opening up, so between the red and the blue, and as you can see, it's actually a fairly tight range. Let me drop that down. You can see here that coming in from the overnights from Sunday night into Monday, I mean, there really wasn't much going on. I mean, we're talking about 30-40 pip range here. That's the Aussie dollar, but not much going on at all. Very, very quiet Monday. And again, if you go to my scalping threads at Trade to Win and Forex Factory, I think I was moaning constantly about how slow it was that morning, but never mind. And I was hoping that the US session would pick up, and coming through to here, you'll see it did. You'll see that the yellow yen finally got bullish. We suddenly kicked into action there, and it was a nice afternoon or US morning into afternoon buying the yen. And CAD, massive sell-off on the brown CAD there, massive sell-off. It came down around 80-90 pips. So clearly a lot of trades selling the CAD into the green US dollar, which was bullish by the US morning session, and a few other things going on, but generally because of the shift, because of the quantum leap drop of the CAD, which actually was already indicating it was going to sell London morning, that was a big player. Again, what I recommend people do is you're trying to look for what I call the alpha dogs, or the alpha currencies, the ones that are strong buys and the ones that are strong sells. I mean, these guys generally, if you get a good move on them, stay with them. They're going to retrace, obviously, at times, and we understand that. That's the nature of markets. They cycle, they retrace, they retrace and move backwards and forwards in a cycle motion. They don't move from A to B in a straight line. Markets do not do that. What they do is they constantly whip backwards and forwards. But yeah, I mean, if you stayed on the CAD, you can see it there moving backwards and forwards as it dropped down, a nice little few retraces. I mean, that's where you're going to be, and obviously on the yen there. So generally a very good US session there, guys. Let's quickly look at the next day. Okay, you can see here going into the overnight session, into the Asian session, the yen really got big. By now the yen from the start of the week is up into the 150s, 160 pips. Massive yen moves, and actually there was a lot going on. This I think, I believe, may have been when we were getting some statements out of Japan, and it turned out they weren't going to do the helicopter drop on their currency. So actually people said, well, if you're not falling, we'll go back in and start rebuying yen, and that's what happened. So a very interesting Asian session there. And clearly, when you have something this big moving, you're going to get a few of the other currencies. They're just going to be hammered south. They have to be by definition. Remember, the G8 market, the Forex market, is a zero-sum game. What do I mean by that? I mean that for every currency that is going up a certain number of percentage points, other currencies will be moving down similar and equivalent percentage points. Yeah. It's the nature of the beast. That's why I like trading Forex. That's why for me it's easier to trade than equities, commodities and anything else, because I know what's going to be happening. If I see a strong currency, I know I'm going to be finding weak currencies. It's that simple. So greenback sold, sterling, surprise surprise, got sold off, and the CAD, which was already over nearly around 100 pips down, kept selling as well. Euro came off as well. So really everything else. So it was buy yen through the Asian session. I'm just moving that. You can see there now we're into the London session there, the red dotted line, and we started to see a little bit of consolidation there on the yen. So there were more buys there, but equally there were some big sell-offs. Just notice there, nice little support area there. You see that? You see how it bounced here? Just bring that down a bit. You see how there was some bounce. Indexes, the same as currencies, the same as commodities, the same as equities. Support and resistance and price action technology and strategies can be used just the same on indexes as they can on anything else, guys. So, you know, I was definitely watching during London morning to see whether we could get a bounce on the yen, and we did. So it was a bounce by there, bounce by there. What else was going on? Well, USD got sold even more into London, so did sterling, so did CAD. So it was quite predictable. What we saw really was a continuation of the Asian session, which is fine for me. I'm happy to do that. Into US session, again I've moved the line, the dots here to show you the arrows. Yen came off. You see I just extended that support stroke resistance line. You see how there was quite a lot of testing going on here. I mean, we're talking probably talking in the region of 15 to 20 pips both sides of that, guys, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But this was quite rangy, and then much later in the US session yen started dumping. So again, you can see how sometimes it's good to work around certain price lines, price action systems. Let's look what was going on. Well, as you know, we had a lot of currencies that were looking very bearish after the Asian London sessions. The only thing that really came back and rallied was the CAD. Actually, the CAD had a nice pullback here, and it got down to about minus 150s from the opening of the week. And again, I've just put a bit of a support resistance line in. You can put it most places, but I mean, there's a potential line there. You see where it popped up here, came down, popped up. I mean, this was an interesting place to go back in again if you were using price action signals. And I certainly believe, I can't remember if I was, I obviously it's harder for me to trade in the US session because I'm working. I only really trade very early London, but I certainly would have been looking to buy CAD here. To me, that was a very aggressive buy from early US. And what would I have done? Well, I probably would have gone to a very flat USD there. That would have been my pair trade there for the morning, and also later. I suppose I also would have been looking to be selling yen as well. So interesting Tuesday. I'm not going to bother you too much with Wednesday. Again, you know, if you just freeze this video, you can see or try and work out where things were happening. Basically, it was consolidating. What do I mean by consolidating? Well, what I mean is that you can see here by this point in the process with the yen so it extended into buys and quite a lot of currencies coming down into bear here. I mean, what I mean by an extension is we now have, you know, a lot of movement. If you took the average value of most of the movements of these guys from around the zero, using absolute values, of course, not adding them together, use absolute values of each, you're seeing that the market, the G8 is going very strongly. But you can see this is what I call consolidation. It's squeezing, it's coming back in, and that's what I mean by consolidation. I mean that if you're looking to trade trends, you're now starting to struggle because all the trends that were established from these big movements are now consolidating. Yeah, you get that? So a lot of consolidation and then ranging. You see how it didn't really expand or contract, it stayed fairly tight. And actually it stayed tight into Thursday, guys. Let's move that across. I mean, again, the yen was starting to go bullish again through the day, but then nasty sell-off, so that would have been mid to late US session. USD's back in bear territory, sterling's back in bear. So again, I'm not going to get too carried away. I'll just probably focus on Friday. Friday was interesting because what I tend to do is look for any overextended currency Wednesday, Thursday, and then try and play the retraces as traders come out of their positions on that particular trade. Yeah. So let's say, for example, yen would have been at this kind of value here. I would have been looking for yen to start moving back in, starting to become more bearish as traders came off of their positions for the weekend. But because really the market, you can see here, nothing's really that exciting. I mean, we're under 100 pips positive for any currency there, and we're around 100 pips. So I mean, when you're not that extended, I mean, 100 pips is nothing from opening business on the Sunday night. So that really didn't fill me with that much interest as to looking for some big retraces into Friday. What actually happened? Well, the signal was pretty strong actually. You can see here the yellow yen started to be very bullish early Asian, really smacked up, and it went all the way through to close actually. Good session. So yen was definitely a buy through Friday. The USD had a horrendous Friday. You can see here coming into, this is coming into Asian. You saw it selling off, flattening a bit, and then definitely selling through late London into the US. So abysmal. And in fact, the yen finished terrible. I mean, it was basically about 200 pips down for the week. So annus horribilis or week horribilis for for the USD and quite a few other currencies. Sterling, CAD, Aussie D all had bad weeks. I mean, yen was the one which had the strong week. Came in 250 pips for the week. So generally, if you were buying into the yen mostly through the week on some of the big moves, you did very well. Euro, New Zealand dollar, Swissy, I mean, fairly neutral. So the story was about getting into some big yen volatility in this week, guys. Okay, just wanted to finish off with a quick view of July, the month of July. The double dotteds here indicate the start of each week, so that's basically the very short trading period for the Sunday nights. That's why it's so tight together. What do you get? You only get 2 or 3 hours, I think, max on a Sunday night. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of trading in July, and how did we do? So let's take a look at the first week coming into 4th of July. So that obviously was a US holiday weekend. And what was the story? Well, I mean, obviously Brexit happened in June, and we all know what happened there. We all know the disaster that happened for sterling, red sterling. But as you can see here, I mean, July was not exactly wave a flag first week either. I mean, we had the sterling coming down to the minus 450s, minus 470s. I mean, sterling came off another 400 or 500 pips in the first week of July. So again, horrendous goings on. What was doing well? Well, no surprise. Whilst it wasn't as great, yen had a great first week, up into the 300 pips. Everything else was pretty rangy in between. I mean, these two guys really do tend to set the standards for volatility, as you know. I talk about that, and they tend to be inversely correlated as well. They don't tend to move together too much. So those are the two big players. Again, you needed to be in July definitely looking to sell sterling at all opportunities, and looking to buy yen, and then pairing up with whatever down here took your fancy. I mean, again, these guys, the green USD swinging around. We had some nice positive Aussie Ds, the Aussie currencies, the Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar to the back end of July. And we saw Euro selling off a little bit more, and CAD back end of July. But generally the story was the two big currencies there, guys. Let's go into the second week here of July, and what happens one way sometimes then happens the other. As you can see here, we had some we had momentum still going up. We saw here the yen chasing up, but gradually momentum died. It got into a real kind of resistance level here. See this? and then bang, parabolic sell-offs all the way through the floor. Phenomenal sell-offs there. We're talking probably 500 pips down to here in the first couple of weeks in July. A little bit of a period of ranging and consolidation, and then it came off again. So I mean, we really were talking about phenomenal. We're probably talking about 600-700 pip falls there in the second week of July for the yen. That was the story, and surprise surprise, equal and opposite. You see down here again, let me just drag that down around the 490-500 pip mark from opening July. We see a good support line here for sterling, and then off she comes. And again, sterling, great run up, running up 500-600 pips. So again, the story of the second week in July was to do the opposite of what you did in the first week. Again, most other currencies, I mean, we saw the Aussie, two Aussie currencies do fairly well, following on from early part of the previous, or late part of the previous week. But again, big sell-off. Now, and what you see here is you see NZD selling off. Those two don't move as much in parallel correlation as you'd think. The New Zealand dollar is notoriously much more volatile than the Aussie dollar as well, guys. So just a heads up on that. But that was pretty much it. Not going to bore you too much with the rest of the week. Just freeze the frame and look at what happened in the last 2 weeks here. And you can see that most things actually consolidated back. Again, this is where the big range was the first week. Some real chopping and changing back, but it quietened down towards the end of the week. So again, volatility wasn't so good. And this is the week we've obviously just talked about as well. So this is MVP signing off. Have a great week next week. Guys, for the next 2-3 weeks, I'm doing quite a lot of traveling on business. So I will be popping in and out of my threads and so on. So you may not see as much of me as usual. I'll be trying to scout when I can, but again, depending on time zones and other things, it might not be so easy. And I won't be at my charts. So actually, I probably won't be doing that much. That's much too risky to be trading without having all the stuff in front of me. So have a good couple of weeks, and I'll be around as much as I can. All the best. Cheers. Bye.